Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm, and in this video we are going to learn how to handle collisions in our maze game. So just as a reminder, here's what we did last week. We created this little game and we added in some basic movement for our circle here in the middle. This week we're going to handle what happens when we collide with the wall and when we enter this green area here. What we want to have happen is when we enter the green area, it should take us into the next level. When we hit the wall, it should reset the current level we're in. Okay, so I have the script open over here. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we have. We have a public float speed at 10 frames or at 10F. We have a private rigid body, which is a reference to our player object. Our player object is grabbing the rigid body attached to the component that this script is on. And then down here we have float V, input get axis raw. We're basically taking in the vertical axis. And then we have the H, which is taking in the horizontal axis. And then we're changing our rigid body's velocity by this vector 2, meaning this horizontal and this vertical press on the button axes. Okay, so in order to handle some collision, let's talk a little bit about how Unity works. So when I select this level here, notice that there is a faint green outline around the inside of this level. This means that this right here is actually a collider, and we can see that we have an edge collider 2D attached to that level object. Now the player itself also has a green outline. If you look at the circle there, it has a circle collider 2D. Because these are both colliders, what happens is when I'm playing the game and my circle collides with the level, let's see if that looks good here on the screen. When my circle collides with the level, it actually can't go through it, right? It collides, it stays. We want to write a script that says, hey, when that collision happens, so whenever those two objects collide, we actually want to restart the level. We want to restart from the beginning. So here's what we have to do. First, we have to create a method that handles collision checks, handles whenever there is a collision that happens in our game. So below this update method, I'm going to actually create a new method called void on collision. And notice that Visual Studio is trying to finish for me, right? On collision enter 2D. Now when I double click that, a bunch of stuff just happened, right? So it made it a private variable, which is fine. I don't need it to be a public variable. It added this stuff in here. These are the arguments that we need to bring in. Basically what this argument is going to do is it's going to take the collider that we've collided with and it's going to call it by this name, collision. Now I always just shorten this to col just to make it a little bit easier. Now inside of here, what we want to do is we want to say, hey, anytime I collide with anything, right? Anything else that has a collider, I want to just restart the level. So on collision enter 2D, I want to restart the level. Now restarting the level isn't as easy as it might sound. Here's what we have to do. First, we have to come up here to using Unity Engine. All right. Are you with me? Sorry, there was a little bit of a hiccup there. So anyway, where were we? So we're using the Unity Engine here. And what I want to do is not that. Okay. So I want to create a new library, or not really create a new library. I want to pull in a new library, something that is already there, but we need in order to pull some code out of it so that we can do this next thing. So I'm going to create, or I'm going to say using Unity Engine dot scene management. Notice that it's trying to finish it for me. So scene management. I'm going to hit semicolon. Now notice it's grayed out. It's gray because we're not actually using that library yet. I haven't indicated how I want to use the library, but as soon as we use it in this next step, it will actually go darker gray. So for this, I want to call the scene manager. So once the scene, actually I want to do scene manager and I want to load a scene. And the scene that I want to load is scene manager dot get active scene dot build index. So what this is essentially saying, this is a very complex looking thing here. What this is saying is I want to activate the scene manager, basically the thing that manages scenes. In Unity, level 1 is a scene, right? So this is the scene, and we want to manage this scene. What we're going to do is we're going to load a scene, and the scene we're going to load is we're going to say, hey, scene manager, let's see your active scene and your build index. We're basically just going to get the scene that we're currently in right now as it pertains to the build in Unity. So what that means, if I go over here to edit and I go to, file, and I go to build settings, I can see that I have two scenes in my build settings, right? This is the build settings list. So scene 1 is on build index 0. So over here, we're going to say build index. So I want to get the active scene. I want to get the build index of the active scene. So basically, this is going to say load scene 0, which is what I'm in right now. Okay, this was a lot to go through. Let's see if this actually works. I'm going to attach this to Unity. No errors so far. We seem to be good to go. Oh, hello. You're trying to attach a debugger. Oh, okay. Let's enable debugging. Why not? Okay. Now let's see. Let's click here. Make sure our new code came in. Hello. Why is my... Oh, it's still thinking. That's why. There's a lot to process, so it's still thinking. There we go. Now my new code has come in. It looks like it's good to go. Let's go ahead and try it and see what happens. So I'm playing my game. I hit the wall. And I end up back at the start. That's what I want, right? That's exactly what I want to have happen. So I go back to the start. So that's how you handle a collision. You're handling collisions by this onCollision enter 2D. Now, how would I handle this right here, this guy? Well, this goal object, if you look really closely, let me move him down here. Notice that the collider is actually inside the green box a little bit. The reason for that is because I don't want the next step, I don't want it to go automatically. I want there to be a bit of a lag once the player enters the green, assuming that they're going to enter and then keep going. I want them to come into the green box a little bit more before they hit this next spot and then go to the next level. It just feels more natural. But this green box here, notice that whenever I was playing it, when I was playing the game, I could just go right through it. It wasn't stopping me like the other colliders were. And here's why. This thing is actually set as a trigger. Notice over here it says is trigger on its box collider 2D. So because it's a trigger, it won't actually stop my colliders. But what it will do is it will send up a signal that says, hey, this trigger was triggered. Okay, so in my script here, I can create another method. I'm going to call this void on trigger enter 2D. And it's going to create another new method, right? Now notice that this is private void on trigger enter 2D, and inside here the argument isn't collision 2D, it's collider 2D. All right, so if you're writing this out on your own, make sure you enter collider 2D for a trigger method, and collision 2D for a collision method. All right, that's the big difference. Okay, now in here, I want to actually check to see if I have triggered the right trigger. Does that make sense? I want to make sure that I've actually triggered this one. And so what I can do is I can write an if statement. So I'm going to say if col equals, or let's say col.gameObject.name equals, meaning I'm going to check the name of the game object I've collided with. Over here, the name is goal, right? It's the goal object. So I'm going to say goal. Then I want to scene manager dot load scene. Now, in this case, I want to actually put in the name of the scene. The problem is, because this game is only 2 levels, my mouse is going out here first, real quick. So because this game has 2 scenes in it, let me go to my scenes here. We have a level 1 and a level 2. When I finish level 2, I actually want to come back to level 1. I want this to be a looping game. I want it to be circular. Now, let's think through this a bit. If I put in here scene manager.load scene level 2, then when I'm on level 2 and I hit the end, then it's just going to load level 2. I don't want it to do that. I want it to load level 1. And I don't really want 2 separate scripts for different levels. I want this script to handle everything. So here's what we can do. Remember the power of public variables. So up here, I'm going to create a public string. I'm going to call it level 2 load. We'll actually spell it out. Level 2 load. Now this public string is going to allow me to enter a different string depending on the scene I'm in. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So in here, I'm actually going to level 2 load. That is the scene that I'm going to load in. All right, let's attach this to Unity. Okay, so now whenever I grab my player object and I take a look at the script, notice that I now have a new, oh, hold on. My face is blocking it. Let's come over here. Notice that I now have a new entry box right there called level 2 load. That is the public variable I just created. And in here, I can type, I can see, let me move my face again. Actually, I think last time we found that this was probably the best place for me, right? So I'll just live here. So if we see right here, I can see level 2, right? So I'm going to type LVL2. And I'm going to go ahead and play the game and see if this actually works. First, let's test out our end game scenario. So when we hit the wall, we restart. Perfect. Now, when I come in here, notice that when I'm here, it doesn't actually hit that trigger because I haven't entered it yet, right? Because if I'm rushing right into the goal, I want there to be a bit of a lag. Because notice as soon as I hit the trigger, it goes right there. So now, on this level, level 2, I haven't actually set anything important for level 2, and I don't have a script attached to my player on level 2. So we need to fix that. I'm going to save level 1, and then I'm going to open up level 2 by clicking on it. Now in here, I just need to go to my scripts, drag my player movement script onto my player. I need to come over here, change my speed down to 5 because it's very, very fast. Actually, for this level, I think I'm going to go to maybe 4. The level to load is going to be LVL1. And now let's play level 2 and see if level 2 works. So I can move, and when I collide with the wall, I restart. So let's see if I can get through the maze here. Oh, come on. This is a very easy game, but not at, 11:30 at night whenever you're tired. Oh gosh. You know what? I'm going to cheat. Watch this. I'm going to take this object and put him right there. That's cheating. All right. So now, hey, there we go. We're back on level 1. And level 1 works like it's supposed to. level 2 works, level 1 works, level 2 works. So our game works perfectly, okay? At this point, I don't need you to turn in the whole game. I want you to actually just turn in the script again, just like you did last time, just turn in the script, because I'm really just grading you on these 2 methods that you've created to make sure that you know how to handle on collisions and on triggers, because these are going to be incredibly important for everything you do from now on. Okay, great. This was under 20 minutes, which is good. That's pretty good. Hopefully we can keep these under 20 minutes from now on. All right, that's it for me. I'll see you later. Peace.